I wasn't always an excited, positive, charismatic, and generally happy person willing to give it my all and create the life I wanted to live. I was depressed. Anxiety controlled my every move. I feared everything. And in doing so, the darkness, the fear, the anxiety, that's what presented itself in front of me. I didn't believe life was a fun and exciting place to be. It felt like life constantly hurt. I was mentally aching on a consistent cycle of negative thinking and self-criticism. I believed I was less than for being disabled. Society's stereotypes and stigmas left me feeling like I was a lost cause. I speak for many people with disabilities, all shapes and sizes, all around the world, that we are unconsciously made to feel like we're not enough. I was very fortunate and supported, yes, but it was me. This guy standing right in front of you, me. I was my own worst enemy. Hey guys, my name is Matt De Gruchy and I'm here today to open your minds to my struggles with adversity, losing all but 6% vision to Stargardts disease, coping or not coping with rapidly deteriorating vision, eating me way to a sugar-coated, happy, almost certain death, becoming stuck in my own head, but most importantly, how I got out, how I took that power back and let the light in. I am so excited to share with you today the raw parts of who I am and how I became the person I am today. So without further ado, let's go. Into a middle-class family. I lived a very fortunate childhood filled with many great times in Shrek, Toy Story, pirate phases, HR Puff and stuff, you name it, I had that phase. Magic was all around me and I believed in magic. Being a kid was fun. That's when it all started to change. It was my mother that first noticed that I was looking and like a lot closer than normal to see things than usual than my peers were. She was told by many teachers, you're just an overprotective parent. And I can hear those bloody helicopter blades hovering over now because they're still going to this day. But our family persevered and I began an 18-month-long journey of appointment after appointment, misdiagnosis after misdiagnosis. I was tested for everything. I was misdiagnosed for dyslexia. I was given glasses, coloured overlay sheets, bifocals, and nothing ever worked. I still recall being at one appointment. I was 8. And the optometrist was so frustrated with me. I couldn't read the visual eye chart. He couldn't wrap his head around someone my age couldn't read the board. I couldn't also handle these eye drops they wanted to use. They would render me blind, sometimes for days on end. So, in his frustration, he just turned, looked at my mum and said, I'm not doing a half-assed test. If your son can't read this, he must be retarded. I was labelled by a professional a retard at 8 years old. Yeah. I feel like when you're young, you don't always understand as much. But that still hurt. I have that day frozen in time. Yeah, it baffles my mind. Finally, after all that, finally, a lovely lady named Letitia from my local eye clinic found these yellow-like flaky spots in the back of my eye. Being that Stargardts disease wasn't well known or easily detected back then, I was sent to Melbourne to Australia's #1 ophthalmologist, and there I was formally diagnosed with Stargardts disease. There we were told I would be going almost blind to this incurable disease. There's no treatment, no cure. I remember that day. I remember that building, what the weather was like. I remember the car ride home, the pirate ship toy my parents bought for me, the silence. I remember the unknown. Although at the time my main concern was, shit, what if I can no longer watch The Simpsons? I remember it all so vividly. And for lack of better words, after the diagnosis, it was like a switch turning off. My vision deteriorated rapidly. I could not keep up with what I could see one day and then not see the next day. I was actually scared of going to sleep and waking up the next day and opening my eyes. I didn't want to. I just didn't know what I'd be able to see. My eyes became so light sensitive. I had to wear the darkest pair of sunnies you could buy. They might as well have been glued to my head. Any bright light or even just a reflection of the sun of something would leave me in tears and pain. It was crazy. Who knew that light was so scary? So, yeah. I was ashamed of being known as the odd kid, the blind kid. That scared me. I didn't want to be blind or known for that. I just wanted to be normal. No matter how many times my 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old self wished away the blindness, I was seeing less and less and becoming exhausted visually from the constant strain my eyes were under. It seems stupid in hindsight, but at the time I thought if I kept straining, like really, really straining to fight, just to keep my eyes alert, then maybe, just maybe, I'll slow the progression. Every waking moment I was straining and fighting so much, fighting to no prevail. I was fighting a losing battle. But I tried. I felt like if people knew I had a disability, that I would never be accepted, that I'd never fit in, that it wasn't okay. So I hid my disease. I hid my disease literally from everyone, except from my family and a couple close mates. And mainly Ben, really. Thanks, Ben. I owe so much to you. Yeah. I feel like when you're faced with adversity, you have to work that little bit harder to prove yourself. You have to fight that little bit more to fit in and to be accepted. And at the time, I didn't feel like that was something I could do. So I hid my disease. I was good. In fact, I was great at hiding my disability. I was so good that some teachers didn't even know I was legally blind until the last day of school. I still remember this certain teacher, and it was our last day of school, and I had the hots for her, hardcore. It wasn't Miss McKinnon, it was another one. But yeah, for some reason I felt the need to go up and tell her on the last day of school that I couldn't see anything she was doing on the board. And she was gobsmacked. She had no idea. That's how good I was at hiding it. Come to think of it, I don't really know why I felt the need to tell her that on the last day of school. I could have just waited that extra hour, but yeah, lessons, I guess. Yeah, going through school was interesting. There were some teachers that did know, and I would play it up for them real hardcore just so they would do all my work for me. And then there were other teachers that had no idea. It was a crazy circus act of being the Bruce Wayne of blindness. And it hurt me. Physically and mentally, it hurt me. Resisting and not accepting the fact I was going blind hurt me. I would have migraines daily from the constant strain my eyes were under, rather than just ask for the help I needed. I lived in my head, unaware of the dire effects it would have on my life in the long run. I was there, but I wasn't conscious. I lived on Panadol daily to cope with these constant migraines. I also then turned to food. Food was the only thing that would bring me some form of false happiness. I ate and then I'd eat some more. I became awesome at hiding the food as well. I would eat a 5-litre tub of ice cream, the Buller tubs of ice cream, and then I'd fill it up with water and freeze it so my parents weren't aware that it was empty. I became so good at hiding the food as well. And it was just a constant struggle. Every waking minute was designed to disadvantage me. Although unaware, I just thought I deserved to live this misery that I felt. It seems so harsh and grim, but it's true. I hated myself. I truly did. I hated myself. I don't deserve to be happy. I don't deserve to be healthy. I don't deserve to fit in, to be liked. Every thought began with, I don't deserve. I believed that I was a bad person for having Stargardts disease. I had wired my brain so meticulously to believe that I was the enemy and the cause. Like, what a cocktail. Years passed, and as I got older, it became harder and harder to hide the fact I was going blind. The more I tried to hide it, the more I struggled, the more vision I was losing, the more self-criticism, the more I lived in my head. It was just years of constant negative thinking and cycle after cycle. And yeah, it was just becoming all too much. The more I struggled, the more I ate. And the bigger I became. I still recall one day in class, we had these big 1 meter rulers in our woodwork room. And I would always sit at the class just to subtly see a little bit more than if I was sitting at the back of the class. And I was just paying attention to the teacher, and I was huge at this point. And I heard these giggles and stuff happening behind me. I didn't think anything of it at first. And then I realized why. I was being measured. With that big 1 meter ruler, there was a student behind me measuring me from one arse cheek to the next. I was being measured whilst I was paying attention to the teacher. And then I heard him say behind me, he is the size of 2 people. There were giggles and remarks and all sorts being thrown around. And although at the time I just tried to play it off and act cool and act like I didn't even know what was happening, I froze. And if I wasn't already shut off enough, which I was, that was sealing the deal. That was complete shutdown. These years in my life, I felt like I was always carrying this huge suitcase of shame and guilt with me wherever I went. It was everywhere. I just felt horrible. Yeah, crazy. So crazy. People would start to question me, why? Why haven't you got your learner's driver's license? Why are you always wearing sunglasses? Why do you look not directly at me? Why do you do the things you do? And I had an answer for everything. With every lie I told, I ached that little bit more. I always had an answer, an excuse, ready to go, made up in me head. I was ready to pounce as soon as anyone asked me a question. And it killed me. It killed me. By the time I was 18, I was a complete and utter mess and spiraling out of control. A time that's meant to be fun, a world at your feet, adulthood kind of time, wasn't the case for me. A time where everyone around me was getting their license and saying hello to freedom, I was deteriorating rapidly. By this point, I had lost over 94% of my vision. I was, for lack of a better word, I was blind. I couldn't see much at all. A bright coloured blur. Faces that were recognisable were now unrecognisable. And I saw everyone around me seeing and taking it for granted. And that hurt me. Like, that really hurt me. Which, it isn't wrong. Being able to see as a normal human sense, people should, unconsciously just take it for granted. But it hurt me. I guess I felt robbed. I guess I felt jealous. By the time I was 18, I had eaten my way up to a massive 145 kilos. I was living on 3 pills a day to slow down my heart rate. I was also on blood pressure medication and on the verge of diabetes. I believed I was dying, like legit. I would believe I had cancer, a brain tumor, you name it, I had it. A hypochondriac on steroids. And then I spent every cent that I had from my job as a junior because I believed that I would be dead in 3 months' time. So I spent the lot, purposefully ruining my body and making my symptoms worse, all the more just to add fuel to the fire. I was 18 and I was crippled. Rock bottom didn't exist because I just kept digging and digging. The world was so loud. My head was going to explode. I needed an intervention. I was talking to my mother the other week about this period in my life, and she said how in a state of realization that she couldn't help me no more, I was too far gone, that she met with a doctor and they voiced their concerns and fears for me. The doctors were now aware and they were waiting for me. It wouldn't be long before I was back at the doctor because every new week presented itself with a made up terminal illness I had diagnosed myself with thanks to Dr. Google. Side note guys, don't Google your symptoms. You will convince yourself you're going to die in 24 hours. Oh, what a circus. Thanks WebMD. There I was at the doctor, but this time it was different. This time I was there talking about my feelings, which I didn't even believe I knew what mine were or even if I had any. I felt so numb. Frustrated and really angered at first, thinking, why am I fucking here? This is not in my head. This is real. But there I was. I was sent over to see a shrink and, then I'm talking about my feelings and trying to somewhat open up. And I began a course of counselling sessions, which really frustrated me at first. I wasn't a fan. I didn't like them. But I slowly began to. Maybe, just maybe, it's time to let go. Maybe it's time to reassess and take the power back, maybe. Maybe it's time to not let the anxiety control my life. Even though at the time I didn't believe it was anxiety. I had no idea. Maybe it was time to change for the better. The resistance, the unacceptance, the denial, the hate, the blame, the shame, the anxiety, the weight of what I'd been putting myself under was slowly, ever so slowly starting to see the light. I put myself here. I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. It was my choice to react the way I was to the situations around me. The anxiety that I felt, I inflicted that upon myself. And the epiphany that it was my choice and my actions to let those things control me was powerful. It was powerful in a very positive way. Ever so slowly, I felt calmer. Ever so slowly, I felt like the shame and the guilt and the anxiety and the depression was something I may be able to accept and learn to master. Ever so slowly, I let more and more people in and shown them the real me. The burden that I had been carrying around with me for so many years started to become my strength. Learning that the struggles I had faced were now becoming my purpose and my passion. Taking the power back was a surreal feeling. Learning to love myself was even more surreal. And I believed it was all an illusion. I was scared it was all an illusion. But it felt right. And for the first time in my entire life, I felt like I deserved it. Something so simple as all I ever wanted, to be okay with me. What a beautiful thing. The imagination started to trickle back in. The magic that was there as a kid seemed to be making a comeback. And it felt okay to laugh and to have fun. Just to feel it all, the good, the bad, all of it. Just to feel. It felt right. Even little things like Googling Stargardts disease to look up the latest information was a task I felt empowered by. A complete contrast to years prior when even the thought, the sound of that word would trigger me into a panic attack. I wasn't sure at the time if that was acceptance, but I bloody hope so. When I Googled Stargardts for the first time and felt empowered, that was the most amazing feeling I think I've ever felt. And I really hoped that that was the start of an acceptance journey, because I deserved it for the first time. I deserved it. Becoming more conscious of myself and my surroundings was uplifting. Getting to know my mind and looking at it from a neutral perspective was empowering. Something so amazing was happening. For so long, a mind that was so shut off and unconscious was waking up. Discovering that blindness gave me way more than what it ever took from me was amazing. Like a ton of bricks off my shoulders. Like the world that constantly fell on my head was afloat for the first time. It was acceptance. My mind was blown. Years prior, I thought that accepting my blindness was wrong. Like it was weak. Like if I accepted it, I just gave up all hope. Oh, but how I was wrong. When I finally surrendered and let go and accepted, everything felt lighter, warmer. Like I could go outside and feel the sun on my skin for the first time. That kind of shit. And it made me realize that your shit is your superpower. I'll say it again. Your shit is your superpower. Grab it by the balls and work with it. It has been through the realization over many years that I've really gained an understanding of the mind, the power of our subconscious thoughts, and the knowledge that we are not our thoughts. We are the host of our thoughts, and we can, from a neutral perspective, choose what thoughts are good for us and what thoughts and beliefs are bad for us. Think of it like a busy highway, and you're sitting back watching the traffic. If you just sit back and watch the traffic from a neutral perspective, everything flows the way it is meant to. But if you run in and get caught up, it causes utter chaos. You see, our thoughts and our beliefs are the same. If we attach onto them, and we always seem to attach onto the negative ones, it creates chaos. But if we step back and see it from a neutral perspective, everything flows the way it is meant to flow. I have learnt these techniques. Speak English, Matt. I have learnt these techniques through the Headspace app and through the power of meditation. And I know I sound a bit like a hippie, a bit like a tree hugger, and I myself thought that at the start. I didn't think I would ever be into this stuff, but it has changed me. So hear me out. Learning how to be present and self-aware will change you. I want you to ask yourself, what thoughts, emotions, and affirmations keep reappearing? If you need to pause this video and get the answer, do so. If you don't have the answer come to you, that's okay. I didn't have the answers for a very long time. But just ask yourself, what emotions and thoughts do you keep thinking? Do they help you? Do they push you in the path of your desire? Are they self-sabotage? Do they fill you with joy? Or do they fill you with doubt? Ask yourself and see what comes back. And then I want you to give yourself permission to hang up that phone. Think of them like a freeloader that's not paying rent. Kick them out. They've been there forever. Is it time to hang up that phone? You've been getting these same messages, these same thoughts, these same negative emotions. Sometimes they might be the positive ones that you cling on to. If you have positive ones that keep reappearing, keep them. But the negative ones, the ones that don't push you in the direction you're meant to be, is it time to give yourself permission to hang up that phone? You've got the message. Why do we keep answering? Why do we keep getting attached? Why do we keep getting sucked in? As everything in life, the more attention we give to things, the stronger they become. We water our plants, the garden grows. We go to the gym, we become strong. We work more, we make more money. The more we entertain those things, the more power they have. It's the same with those things like angst, guilt, shame, negative thinking, rumination. The more we entertain those thoughts and those emotions, the more power they have over us. You get me? I always believe that common sense isn't always common practice. And although we are beautiful people, we get trapped in the same way of living. And why is it that we keep letting these negative feelings, these negative emotions, these beliefs, like the beliefs that I had growing up, why do we let them control us and shackle us and tie us down? When it's so easy, if we know what to do and how to take the power back, to hang up that phone, a figure of speech, I know it sounds a bit woo-hoo, and let go. The biggest thing to realize is that our thoughts are powerful. They control our every move. We think between 50 and 70,000 times a day. Why is it that just some seem to be the ones that we run into? We run and we get trapped and we cause chaos. Think of it like the highway. You know, we have those 70,000 cars passing, but it's those few, it's those 100 or so a day that we just get completely trapped in. Why is it? Our thoughts are always going to be with us. And that's amazing. The good, the bad, that makes us who we are. And we are all amazing. But we can decide what ones serve us and what ones we should be giving more of our attention to and what ones we should let go, the ones that don't serve us. And how do we change that? The answer is simple. Let them be there. Like the highway. Let them be there. Our brains want us to react. We have trained and wired our brain to react in certain ways to thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. It's what it's used to. We know that path. So we keep doing it. It's easy. We keep going down these same paths and we react the same way because our brains are so used to it. And even if it's not beneficial for us, we just keep going down it. But the best part is we can change that. But it takes work. I had to personally break down my complete belief system. I had to pull apart what goes on in the chemicals in my brain and the chemistry of what happens and rewire it to serve me, to help me, to make me thrive, to push me forward in life. And that's the best part. We can rewire our brains and the way we think. We have a certain thought, oh, you're shit, you look ugly. Oh, look how fat you look, these love handles. Instead, go, excuse me, or go, okay, we're going to label that. We're going to label that as, that's negativity. That's me. That's the old me. No, I look good. I don't have love handles. Or I do, but I'm going to fucking flaunt them anyway. Whatever it is, we can actually go in and change that path. We can put a roadblock in the negative path and we can take the new one to a better future. It's so simple, but it takes work. We can be champions. We can be friends with our inner self. And why shouldn't we? It's with us every step of our lives. How good would it be if we're supported? We have our own little cheerleader pushing us in either step to make us the best we can possibly be. That is true happiness. I know it might sound all cliche, but it's cliche for a reason because it's all so simple. We exercise to be physically fit. We go to the gym to build muscle. We work more. We work harder. We make more money. We have showers every day. We bath for good hygiene. This is all temporary. And with neglect, we deteriorate. Our mental health is the same. Why is it that our mental health and the one thing that controls our every move and everything in life is left in the background? Why is it not put at the actual top of our importance? I want you to ask yourself that. Do you look after your mental health? How is it? These are all lessons that I learned the hard way. I learned this the most toughest, the most backroaded way possible. But I am grateful that I have learned how to take the power back and become more present and mindful. And it's amazing. It's all about the shift. I suffered so much pain for so many years, always blaming myself, always thinking, oh, I'm woe is me, oh, I'm blind, no one's going to like me, I'm just going to eat, and then I'm going to be fat forever. I just thought I was going to live this terrible misery that I felt. And that's the most amazing part, is that we don't have to. We don't have to. We allow us to live that way. But it's not the way. The world is so bright and abundant, and it's all about the shift. For the last few years, I've been practicing how to disengage from the stuff that no longer serves me, all that rubbish that I keep telling myself over and over and over again, and I did for the past 10 years, because that doesn't serve me. I thrive off the positive aspects, and I put all my attention into those positive emotions, feelings, situations, and I learn to say yes. And I feel so much more freer, so much more lighter. And the world is a much happier place. And there is beauty everywhere. It's about manifesting what you want. Every waking moment, we are manifesting. Tomorrow, where you will be is made up from where you were days prior, because you have manifested that. If you wake up and stub your toe in the morning, you're just going to have a shit day usually, because it started off that way. We've got to intentionally start our days feeling good. We've got to intentionally actually focus on the positives. And when we have intention and focus on the good, the bad and all that cloudy mess will slowly start to go back. It'll draw back. And then the sun will come through. It sounds so cliche, but it is so, so true. That's what I needed to learn. And that's what you guys are going to learn. It's okay to be amazing, to feel amazing. It's okay to be selfish, to be hungry, to grab life by the balls. You deserve it. You really, really deserve it. Life is abundant. And anything we want, we can have. So, yeah, we're going to go into a little workshop. I'm so keen. Janine Ellis, Boost Juice, Shark Tank. Lucky enough to see her at a conference in Melbourne the other year. So I'm going to take some inspo from what she taught me there. And yeah, I really think this will serve you. Go grab a beer. A water, a coffee. Fucking hell. Whatever you're into. It can be a tequila. I don't care. Tequila sunrise. And yeah, come back. Pause this. I'll go get my whiteboard and we'll do a little workshop. So notepad, notes on your phone. Whatever it is, yeah, just take some notes. This will really serve you. I'm so excited. Yoo! Righto, gotta stay hydrated. I wish it was a beer, but it's not, so anyway. Okay, so, I hope you got your, whatever it is you're into, got a bit of a notepad, so we're gonna do a little workshop. So, basically what I wanna go over is some simple sort of values and perspectives of ways we can live so we're on the right track and everything flows and the wheel keeps turning and we don't fall off that bandwagon. Think of it like, I'm going to think of this as like a plant sort of growing metaphor. If we have a great foundation and we plant that seed, but we've got no water and no sunlight, what happens? The plant dies. If we've got the sunlight and the water and the seed, but not a good foundation, the plant dies. If we've got the seed, we've got no foundation, we've got no sun, we've got heaps of water, the plant will drown and it will die. You see what I mean? You've got to have everything consistently turning to keep everything alive and well. So, I want you guys to, I'm going to draw a little picture, okay? So, think of this line. It's a pretty shit line, but you know, I am blind. So this is our foundation. This is our values. These are our values, like our foundation, our soil as such. So for instance, my values are joy, kindness, love, honesty, fun, that's a big value to me, empathy, compassion. The list could really go on, but you get what I mean. So they are my values. So I plant the seed. I always remember where my values are, so I never lose sight of that. I never lose track of my core foundation, the soil, my values. I plant the seed. So I want to grow something. But what's the number one thing I want to grow? What's my number one desire? My number one desire is to help others. So that is above all else what I want to do and what I want to achieve in life is to help. And I never forget that. And then we can branch off into other things. It always branches off. So what are some things I can do to help people? Well, I want to help people now with this virtual keynote I'm doing. So I'll do keynote presentations. I like to help people through my charities and stuff. So my MDV, Matt De Gruchy Vision, social media accounts I meet, I connect. Connection's another big thing. You know, think of it like, what do you want to do? So it might be that you want to have a really good family and you want to be very generous and make everyone feel good and live a great life. So that's your number one value. So what are the other things that you're going to do to create that number one goal, that number one desire? Let them all be there, but have your number one desire of what it is you want to achieve. Now think about it. We need to water it, okay? I know these are really shit drawings, but just bear with me. So what are things that we can do to water it? So I inspire people. I want to inspire people for change, to be good. I want to connect. That's an M. I want to be social on my social media accounts. I personally have met so many beautiful humans and connected with people all around the world that share similar values to me. And it's amazing. So they are very big things to me. So you've got your foundation, you've got your soil, you've got your values. Pause this video if you need to write it down, really take it in. You've planted your seed. For me, it's to help others. Whatever it is for you, go with that. Branch off into all the different things that you can do to make that a reality. Then think of the watering as such, like you're watering the plant to keep that in action. So this is your action. What are your actions? For me, I connect, I try to inspire, I be active on social media, I plan things like this. That's how I keep what I desire in action. Whatever it is for you, think about it. Then you've got your sunlight. So think of that like your motivation. This is your motivation. So we've got to have all of it. What are things that keep me motivated, that keep me happy, that keep me sane? I love music. So music is a huge thing to me that I really value. I like to have fun. I like to travel. I like to explore. Those are all really important things to me that I do to keep everything flowing. Because if I don't have that, I won't have this. If I have this but I don't have that, I won't have this. If I've got a shitty foundation, a shitty value system, I'm not going to have any of it. You see? So really, please guys, take this in. I know this drawing's really crap. I know that. I used to be good at drawing, but I think I've lost the touch. But yeah, so play this. Even if you literally just make some columns, you can make some columns and you can literally write, where's me white out thing? Oh, we'll just flip her. We'll flip her. So you can make some columns and you can go values. Then you can go desire. You go your actions. And then you can go your motivation. List them below. What are your values? What do you value? What's your foundation? What's your desire? What are your desires? And how can you implement them? Then these are the actions you're going to take. What actions can you take consistently to keep this in process? And then what's your motivation? And what are the things that you want to do and that are important to you to feel good, to keep motivated, to have fun along the right way? We have to take pauses, and they are really important. We have to do things that make us feel amazing. For me, I like going to concerts. I like going to festivals. I love traveling. They are really important to me. Technically, they might not be the most, beneficial things in the goal of my career, because really I'm over in New Zealand partying rather than, hustling my desires, folding up t-shirts, going around to schools, keynote speaking. I might, not be doing that for a week, but this is really important to keep me happy. So then when I come back, I want to keep doing this. So, it's not really working. Oh, got it the wrong way around. That's another life hack, guys. When you got less than 10% vision, you always do shit back to front. But anyway, happy times, happy life. Everything we've just discussed in that prior workshop is so we can keep everything moving. We don't fall off that bandwagon. Everything flows. We have our values. We know our values. They mean a lot to us, and they are deep within us. That's who we are. Then we have our desires. That's our desires. Like, for instance, for mine, help others, whatever it is for you, whatever you're into. That's your desire. We have our action. What action we can take daily, consistently to get to where we are. Our motivation, our freedom, the things that bring us joy, what we want to do, where we want to travel, the house we want, the things that make us feel good, the more materialistic side of things. Then we've got our fulfillment. If we have this all working in clockwork, we will live a very happy and positive life, and we will stay on track. But you've got to have it. You can't rub that out. I've lost the bloody whiteboard rubber again. You can't rub that out. It doesn't work. You can't rub the desire out. It doesn't work. You've got to have the motivation. You've got to have the desire. You've got to have it all. You really got to have it all to make it work. Rightio, guys, that wraps up my first keynote presentation virtually. Thank you so much for joining. If you have made it to the end, I would like to offer you a 20% discount code on anything MDV at mattdegruchyvision.com. The code is BOSS20. That'll get you 20% off everything. That's just my way of saying thank you for staying back and actually taking the time to take this in. Please give yourselves a pat on the back for actually staying this long. I know most people would switch off after a couple minutes and go, oh, another hard sell or something, but I thank you. I don't know how to get it through to you over the camera, but I know a lot of people always say how grateful they are, but I truly, truly mean it. I appreciate every bit of support I get, and I try and give as much back as I receive. And yeah, just know that I am eternally grateful, and I can't wait for more keynote presentations. If you'd like me to do a keynote presentation, send me an email, get in touch. I have so many keynote presentations to offer. There's all different formats and layouts. But this one I really thought would be good to inject into you guys while we're doing a bit of isolation. So there's so much more to my story, but in a nutshell, you've heard it. And yeah. Give me some feedback. I'd really love to hear back from you guys. Thank you so much. Stay safe, stay sane, and keep thriving. And yeah, you are amazing. Remember that. So please be present, be positive, be excited, be confident. Thank you so much, everyone.